Okay.
So so everybody lives in different houses, and I'm okay. So
And so sometimes it helped to be able to clone yourself. Some days it would help to have like two or three of you.
like my account, yeah, like my
Right.
Facebook account was cloned, so I figured, you know,
If it's something you could do, that would be just awesome.
I could be everywhere,
Be
at
everywhere
the
at
same,
once,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah, I go
okay, and
everywhere
that
at
way
once.
you could actually
But
have time to
then,
sleep too.
but yeah, but then you have to visit, you have to understand the logistics of that because if I clone myself, how do I get that information? Does that information just come to me because I've cloned myself? There are individual clones.
Hmm.
So you'd have to have
Uh,
some sort of
some sort of way to kind of like communicate
yeah,
all
like
information back and
telepathically.
forth. Yeah, because otherwise it'd be a long day and just a long day.
Like, what did you do with this girl? I'm married. No, well,
No, what did you do? Well, what did you do? Oh my god,
I went to the
we need
model
to.
meeting, like I punched this guy out. Oh, he's my best friend. Why'd you punch this guy out? Well,
What'd you
you
do that
punched him
for?
out.
I said I
I
had a
didn't punch
meeting
him
set
out.
up
You
the other
punched him
day,
out.
boy. What'd you do that for?
He was talking about Trump and he was going to do this. Oh my God. Yeah.
Oh well, that's understandable. All right. But oh man, this I'm gonna tell you, man. This app,
It's kicking your ass. Is
it
it
was
kicking
for a
your
while.
ass? Because
Not gonna lie,
oh, okay.
not gonna lie. It was kicking my ass for a while. Not gonna lie. Um, I think I think I finally got it.
Okay.
You know, for I was trying to instead of having to go through the Google Play Store and trying to have to upload it through Google Play Store and then download it to my phone from there.
Hmm.
Instead, while I was trying to to directly put it from my computer to my phone,
Right.
I don't know why it just wouldn't work. Maybe I have to have some kind of installer app or something. I'm not sure, but
It
eh,
well
I'm not sure.
the the way that um the way that it works for Shoutcast is Shoutcast. So you you pay Shoutcast so that you can have a presence on the internet, but you have to create a physical server. The physical server takes the takes the Shoutcast encoder settings and encodes them through a computer, over the internet. The
Right.
app, the app is linked to Shoutcast. So, and I'm saying to myself, well, how, because I know that you made the app, but how does the app authenticate
With
to the website? Because when you're on the app, you're basically, opening up a portal to the website. How does it authenticate? It needs to authenticate through either a cloud-based server service or a physical server. And that was
right.
those were the things I was looking at. I was researching, and they said that you had more control over a physical server. Like if you have a computer box and you have a
Right.
box that's running 24/7 on your internet, you're running the station. So the station is on 24 hours a day through that box. And then the
Yeah.
Shoutcast app, those encoder settings are encoded on that box.
And so
And
when
that
you have that,
creates the link between uh, between the Voscast
okay.
and the app.
Right.
So the app goes there, and I said to myself, why couldn't they make it easy where everything was cloud based? You could do cloud based, but it is more money. It's more money per month because you're using a cloud-based server.
Right. Well, not only, I mean, you have to.
You're using space on a server. It's your server that you've set up, but it's in somebody else's
Yeah.
cloud, and you are paying for it every month.
Right.
And I looked into it. It was like it was going to be some god awful number, like $150 a month. I was like, "There's no way you could
Jeez.
do yeah, $150 a month." But the thing was, you with it, you got tech support, you got so much, like you
Okay.
got so many gigabytes. I think it was,
So it's almost like a full service type of system thing where you would get the host, you would get the
yeah, it did
be able
hosting.
to list it on a Google Play Store, all that
Right,
stuff like
right,
that, and then
yeah.
but
The one I was looking at was Good
okay,
Barber. It's called goodbarber, .com. If you go to Good Barber, basically
okay,
it's soup to nuts. You create the app, but you create the app through no coding. It's a no code thing. You put in all the like you would put in all the criteria,
mm-hmm.
but um
But it would essentially just kind of
um
make the app for you,
it
and
makes
then
the app for you. Right.
you'll be able from there kind of
Yeah.
distribute
So
it
it
out.
was $55 a month to do that. So it'll work on Android, it'll work on Apple, it'll work on
Okay.
any device you want. It'll also work on Alexa. You could do the Google thing, like it'll work on that.
Oh, okay.
Um, but it had the capability of doing ads on the app. So when you're on the app,
Mm-hmm.
it'll bring up a banner ad. So if we had advertisement, like if I had Ray
Oh
Price
yeah.
Mazda or whatever, it would bring up the Ray Price Mazda thing. Oh, I'm sorry. Are we on?
Oh yeah, we are. But
Oh,
what I was just gonna say was that the app it allows to have ads like that as well, um,
okay.
just from Google or just from local ads or
Okay.
whole thing like that. And, it has banner ads, whole nine.
We'll
So
have to test it. Yeah.
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 Oh yeah.
Yeah, we have to test it.
As once it's up and ready to test, like I said, I'll drop the link in the group chat, and so everybody can check it out and tell me how much they hate it. The angry IT nerd. I'm here with the other host, Techno George, and we are your friendly IT help desk. How you doing today, George?
I'm doing wonderfully. If I was doing any better, they'd be measuring me for coughing. No, no, no. That's not true. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good.
uh,
We were just discussing the app and the GCPR app and
yeah, just kind of
how it works in the virtual realm and how it doesn't work in the real realm. But we're gonna.
just sometimes just is what it is because it's code. Coding.
Yeah,
It's all about the code. But
it's it.
the app should be
It's either
coming
the red
soon.
pill or the blue pill. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was letting everybody know, the audience know that the app is coming soon. So you don't have to kind of look around at everything. It'll be one central spot, the GCPR app. So
Nice.
once it drops, everybody will know, and I will make sure everybody knows because I worked my ass off on this one. Everyone will know. So everyone will all know when this app is finished. I promise you. I'm going to take myself a well deserved mini ish vacation where I'm just going to instead work on my animations because I've been lacking behind. Weather has been bad, and so now it's starting to clear up. And so now finishing the app is at the perfect time. So I'm going to take some time for myself and work.
It's great. It's great that you can smile. I know that's. I know that you're actually crying and you're yelling and screaming inside, but it's nice that you can actually smile.
Oh no, I
So
do that. I do that when the camera's off. Oh, yeah, it
I
has
mean,
been it is it's been giving me like I said, it's been kicking my ass for a minute.
yeah.
It is. So overall, um, because originally what I did, I got a template for it, um, because it makes it easier.
Hmm.
I don't care what anybody says. Screw you. I like
ChatGPT
templates.
is your friend.
I like templates. Templates work. Templates are great.
All right, all right, template.
So, and essentially, it worked in the principle. It's just like you plug in, your API keys or whatever. You link up your social medias. You put in your stream link, stream link. Oh my god! And so you mess around and you do your designs and you upload your logo and change the wording around and all that stuff like that, and then you go through your step by steps and upload it, and boom. Generally overall it shouldn't take any, depending on what all you've got going on with it, shouldn't take anything longer than I give it about roughly an hour. If you already know everything, you've got everything is ready to go, and just boom, 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 boom.
Hmm.
Overall, from start to finish, should take about roughly an hour, which is not bad. Real good time. Until when you install Android Studio, then then you have to have Java installed. Then you have to install Java. Then it's asking for the Intel HAXM. I forgot what it stands for. I'm sorry. I will have that ready information for everybody soon, in just a minute. But at the time, I don't care. At the time, I didn't care. This was one of the many times I was frustrated. I was angry. I lived up to the moniker that I have. I was angry. I was so highly upset. If you ever seen a grown man cry, it is a very sad sight. You would have seen that if I had the cameras on, which is why I have the cameras off.
Is that it says HAXM is a cross-platform hardware-assisted virtualization engine,
Yes.
a hypervisor widely used as an accelerator for Android emulator. And yeah, okay, I got it.
Yeah. And so that's one of the, I think that what they call it, it was an add-on. Yeah. It was an add-on in order for it to run and to be able to test and compile and be able to send it out and the whole nine. So I caught hell installing that. I caught hell installing Java. I caught hell installing. Oh. And then there was another part of that was called Gradle, in which Gradle is an app that is dependent on Android Studio, in which it is to say compiling engine, I guess would be the best way to put it. But essentially, it builds it up, and it builds the app and puts it in a format to where it can run on your phone. Oh, I had to update Gradle because the one that came with Android Studio, it was the older one, so they needed the updated one, so I had to update that, and then I caught hell on that. Oh my gosh. So needless to say, I definitely got myself a great education on app building in Android. I'm not looking forward to iOS, but that is the one that's coming next. Is the iOS version.
Now, with the IO, well,
Now the
The
iOS version shouldn't be much different. Um, but I will say with generally with Mac, they usually tend to have everything that you would need, already bundled together.
right.
So that's the good thing about with Mac. Um,
Yeah, the
yeah,
the Android applications or applicators I've found are more open source. You can do a lot of more open source stuff with Android based devices.
mm-hmm.
With Apple, it's more structured. It's like,
Right.
okay, well, it fits into this slot. That's it. And then you just basically have to go down the line and say, okay, well, all right, well, it's a round peg in a round hole. In Android, it's a round peg, but it
But it
may
can
be
also
a little
fit.
bit more oblong. It could be this way.
Yes.
You have a little
Right.
bit more leeway to play with stuff. I found that out with Wireshark, with trying, trying to, hack passwords on phones wirelessly. Those third-party apps work with Android phones, and there are exploits for iOS phones as well. But the
Mm-hmm.
iOS phones are more structured, more, how can I say, let well, less hackable. I wouldn't say less hackable. I mean, any phone could be
Well,
hacked, but
it's not really
you know,
less hackable. I just say
it it it
it's not it, it's not the general target because not a lot of people have Apple. I mean, depending on, well, I take that back. I take that back because there's a huge population that have Apple,
Mhm.
but comparatively speaking with Apple versus Android, there are more Android than Apple because simply put because Android is more affordable.
Right.
That's just that's just how it is in the market.
Yeah, paying like over $1,000 for a phone is
Right. Versus paying, 20 or 25. So
yeah.
sometimes it's a no brainer. you know. But yeah, so you said it's not hackable. It's just that not a lot of people, or at least the average person, unless they're, you know, they got money like that, Thomas. Unless no, I'll just pay. I'm messing with you, Thomas. I was just messing with you, Thomas. But
Not going to name anybody, Thomas.
not
But
gonna name anybody, but Thomas. But I mean, because of the cost of iPhones, not a lot of people have iPhones. So
right.
you know, if you're putting out a hack or or anything like that, you're a better target would be what either 2/3 of the population or 1/3,
Right.
where you could do both, but you could get more with 1/3. I mean, with 2/3, and by the time that the other 1/3 found out, they'd already have a way to protect you. So you got to go with the one you can get the most, you know, the
Yeah, the most bang for your buck.
right,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is
So, yeah.
Android.
Yeah, with Android. Yeah, I was telling T Nathan, I told him, if you wanted to test out, you want to test out the Android thing, the Android app,
Right.
that that he would be willing to do it. I talked to him yesterday, and he said, he said he had to buy another monitor. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute, you had to buy another monitor. So I'm like, so I'm saying, well, wait a minute, you have the Batcave,
Well, if
you
he's got
have
like
the Bruce Wayne setup, like. He's
he's
got
got
like
like 18 monitors already.
no, I think he has six. He's gonna get I think he has six or seven. No, he has seven. He's gonna get eight. I think it is. I said, okay, well, at least that's an even number. But anyway, he said, because I was talking to him at length, and he said, I said, hey, did you get that Google Fiber? And he goes, oh yeah, it's great. I was like, so you're able to hack NORAD now. And he goes, oh well, I really can't hack NORAD. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, but if you had the, if you had the means to do it. So, and I was
He
like
said,
going, so how
"Well,
fast is that thing? He said, it's nice. It's really fast. I was like, well, of course and
well,
it's
right,
fiber.
yeah,
It's like having a T3 line in your house. So
right, yeah. I mean that's like fiber
I
optics.
think
So I mean,
I think the speed of it, the basic is 20. It's um I'm gonna say it's 20, not 20 megabits. Is it 20 megabit? 20, it's 20,000, it's like 20,000
okay,
bits per second, something like that.
all right, yeah,
It's be
yeah.
well
Because
it's beyond the one it's beyond the 1 meg threshold. I think it's 20 megabit. Yeah, it's 20 megabits per
yeah,
second. The the newest upgrade to that they have is 50 megabits per second. That's like, like if I turned on my computer, I could actually go back in time. I can create like a time portal, kind of like Thanos,
right,
and I can get the two crystals and put them together and you do the you know
yeah. Like you could make a stable paradox.
true. Yeah. Yeah. I was like,
It's like, yeah, no
could I
big
go
deal. Just making stable paradoxes. Just,
could I go back and tell myself to invest in Yahoo? I don't know. In the 80s, I don't know. Or Google, I don't know.
say yeah, that would be nice. You could just tell yourself to just invest in these certain companies at these certain times, and then sell it now and then buy into this one. Trust
It
me.
remind it reminds me of the classic Star Trek, the classic Star Trek episode of Tomorrow is Yesterday with Captain Christopher, where he brought aboard the Enterprise. He has some sort of
Uh,
like an interceptor jet. He's going to intercept the Enterprise. Enterprise is crippled in time, and brings him back. And then Spock goes, perhaps a man, an unscrupulous man, were to gain certain knowledge of the future, and he says something like and oh, I'm trying to think, and manipulate key industries and stocks to change what has to be, like going, so everything that we are and everything that we know will be like would be gone. So they couldn't put him back into a thing, and then they found, and then Spock says, I made an error in my calculations, and McCoy goes, "Oh my God, this could be, like an historic occasion," and he said, I didn't put in my calculations contributions, by offspring. He goes, "What do you mean offspring?" He's like, "Your son, um, Captain James Jeffrey Christopher, I forget what it is, does the first, space probe to Saturn." So,
right.
and that, it kind of reminds me of that. So, I'm sorry to put the, the rules of Nerdquisition episode onto this particular thing, but
Hey,
yeah. So,
if it applies, let it fly.
yeah. So T Nathan's got the connection. Got to hook us up with the connection. That'd be great. I mean, I
I
can't
know,
get it in
right?
my area because I'm in Pennsylvania. We just got, we just got phones here. No, we just got
What are you talking about? I'm in South Carolina, man. We just got indoor plumbing. What are you talking about?
I didn't want to say it. I was like,
I mean, I'm not ashamed to say, like it's great. You know what I mean?
it's great to have that pull chain on the water closets.
Right?
It's great.
No more chain,
No more outhouse. It's great.
right? Be cold in the morning.
No more splinters, my ass. Sorry. Anyway, so no, I mean we're actually, the only when I moved, it's funny because when Jeff and I moved, from New Jersey, because Jeff lived in Morris Plains, I think it was. I lived in actually I lived in Morris Plains as well, and he lived like 3 miles from me, 3 or 4 miles from me, but uh, he was the first one to move to Pennsylvania, and I was like, well, I didn't know really where I was going to go. And then when I met Lynn, like we moved here, and like, okay, so we're here, and everything was just different. It was just like a different vibe, like you know,
Like a little bit
people
more
were
laid back, or
a little more laid back,
okay,
yeah,
all right, that's cool. That's
because
cool.
like I'm in New Jersey, it's more. It's more fast. People serve you faster. Here, it's like
Yeah.
they do serve you fast. They're very nice, for the most part. And then the one place we went to, I think the first time we went out to eat, the first time she goes, "You think the service is a little slow?" And I was like I said, I said, it's kind of a different vibe here. But she goes, "Stop that! Stop! Don't do that. They're kind of going to take their time here." So it's like and I don't know. So, but
Huh.
getting back to computers.
That
So
is
do we have
funny.
anybody in the chat? Let's see.
That-
Let's see if Chuckles is back with us.
No, not yet. We
Not
haven't said
yet. No,
anything of interest yet.
we haven't said anything of interest. Okay, I'm very sorry about that.
Said no, not yet. I have you seen this update on CrowdStrike thing, and that
I s-
CrowdStrike could face a lawsuit from Delta over that
oh
outage.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, oh cool. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like
I think AliExpress had was using CrowdStrike because for a few days on my phone and on my computer I could not see the pictures on the website. Like it was like white, like all of the pictures on the
hmm
website were like either like a white screen or
okay, but
uh
almost like that broken image um type of thing.
well it gave the description of the item,
hmm
but it never gave you the picture, the JPEG of the product. And I said to
Okay,
myself, well,
okay.
there must be something going on. Maybe they were using CrowdStrike as well, which I like to
Yeah,
call Bird Strike
it's possible.
because if both engines just went
It just
on
went.
Bird Strike. Yeah. So but maybe they were using the same type of service, or maybe I don't know. So because I believe AliExpress
hmm
is an offshoot from Alibaba. Alibaba is the main site. AliExpress was
hmm
an offshoot of that, and then of course there's Temu. So
So
yeah, the stuff on
yeah.
Temu is a little bit
Mm.
much. I mean, they keep advertising that welder. They had this rechargeable welder for $28, and it looks like a drill, but it's supposed to be it comes with like these little welding rods. You put the welding rods in the thing, and I'm like, what are you gonna
Oh,
weld for $28? I'm like, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, it it
well,
looks really cool. It shows,
right,
I mean, it may be good for spot welding, but not doing like an actual weld that's going to actually, save a life, like, like a
right.
seat, or if you're welding something. I think it's good for like spot welding, just
Like
like
for like
small things.
like for jewelry or something like that.
Um,
Like let's say for like somebody's, let's
Well,
say for like a watch or like a necklace or something like that, but not anything like a not like a towing chain or anything like
no,
that.
well, I don't know. It depends on how much, because the raw the rods are not tungsten. I believe they're aluminum. So it's just it's like spot
Okay.
welding aluminum. So
Oh, okay.
it
So it
would
just
be
kind
good
of
for
depends.
like if you had to repair something,
Okay.
if you had to repair like an iron, I guess like an iron railing or something like that, because it shows the iron railing, and I was like, well, wait a minute, you're using this, and I'm saying
Mm-hmm.
$28? I don't think so. I was just looking at it.
Right.
I was like, it's like it would be something, I guess it would be something that you'd have to experiment with, but I don't think the
Well,
weld is going to be, that great, on it.
well, well. Yeah. I mean, yeah,
I mean, I've seen
$28. I mean,
plasma,
you get to.
I see plasma welders, which are in like the $50-$60 range, on Temu, and that
I'm
they're,
I'm always hesitant about buying stuff off of Temu. Like I've never bought anything from off of Temu, but I see, the ads on all over social media, on YouTube, on TikTok, on Facebook, Instagram, everywhere. I see Temu, and I'm always hesitant about it because first thing I'm thinking is like, how are you selling this that cheap? Because something's not right.
well,
Something is not right about their business model to where they sell it that cheap. I question that, but I don't know all the answers.
it's kind of like well the things I get off of AliExpress are electronics. So I'll get like DC to DC, converter boards.
Okay.
I can use like 12, I could use a 12-volt power supply on a model. So instead of using like 9 volts, I could use 12 volts, like rechargeable 12-volt, battery pack,
Right.
and I can dial it down to 9 volts for a model, so I have scaled lighting. So that's good. I get those boards. They're like I think they're like $8 for, like for 5 boards. You get them in a little
Okay.
pack.
Okay.
Um, I get LEDs from them. I get flexible LED filament. Those are things I can also put into models. It's like a FOLED. Um, it's a flexible organic LED strip, which has been dipped in silicon,
Okay.
and then it has a positive and a negative terminal. When uh, the the LEDs are so close together that when you actually activate it, there are no hot spots, so it looks like you're actually holding on to neon. That's how bright it is. It's very, very
Oh.
bright. I mean, like
Okay.
like like for 3 volts.
Yeah, cause I see on like regular neon strips, like not neon, LED strips, where you see the bright spot, dark spot, bright spot, dark spot.
Right,
Yeah.
right, and that's where you would get, like, you get your hotspots. A lot of guys use that, like, like for warp engines for models, like,
Mm-hmm.
for like the Star Trek models and stuff like that, and you see those spots. If you're using that strip, you have no hotspots because each LED, there's a 16th of an inch space instead of there being an
Right.
inch space or a quarter of an inch space, in
Yeah.
between. And because it's actually dipped in silicon, um, the uh, the the overall light projection is creating one solid,
Yeah.
piece of light, which is really cool. So, I mean, that's really what I use AliExpress for, is just to get those electronics. I mean, it comes in like 2-3 weeks or whatever, from China, so I call it the slow boat from China,
Yeah.
shipping, but 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 a
Yeah, it's
lot
the same.
like a lot of the stuff like a lot of stuff I've seen, like we go to the mall every so often in New Jersey, and we go to go to Eddie Bauer. They have these COB lights. They're like these little keychain clip lights.
Hmm.
They're what was it? It's the same light. I look at it on AliExpress. I'm like, this is the same thing that's on like in the Eddie Bauer shop. Eddie Bauer's selling this light for $25. It's this little. It looks like this little square light. It's COB. It's very very bright. It's got three modes on it. It has a flashing mode, a low power mode, a high power mode. It's rechargeable. It has the
Okay.
clip on it. It has a little piece. It has a little piece on it where it can actually open up a beer. You can like take the top off of a bottle of a beer.
Okay.
And I'm
That's
I'm looking at
that's
it. It's
convenient.
$15. Okay,
All right.
and it's laser it's laser cut with Eddie Bauer in it. I go to AliExpress, $1.25, free shipping, and I'm like, this is the same thing. It's the same exact thing. They just took these, wholesale, and they just
And they
had
just
a
decided,
laser cutter just engrave Eddie Bauer into it. Like we could do the same thing for GCPR. We could sell our own lights on our own merch store,
yeah.
and you know, so
But yeah,
the these
I
things are coming from China. I mean, I know that they are.
yeah.
It's
I
not,
mean, I know that
you know,
because when you say slow boat for Johnny, I feel your pain and frustration on that because if you can see back there, one of my 3D printers, I will tell you like this. Sometimes getting parts for them I can only get from China.
oh yeah,
And it sucks. It sucks. Not gonna lie. It sucks. Because simply put, I'll order it and it's fine and then in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, sometimes a month,
yeah.
finally the part will come in. And half the time I forgot about it until I get a delivery and it is like, oh yeah, that's right. That's the part I ordered. Because here, that's I have three printers. That's that one right there that you all can see, and I have my big one that is sitting right here next to me. And for that one, for my big one, I had to wait on two parts for this. I was down for 2 months waiting on two parts,
Wow.
a month per part. I just want everybody to know it was a month per part.
I have a so I had a friend who had a 3D. He had a 3D print. He bought this 3D printer. He does he does props for the movie industry, and his shop used to be in Pennsylvania. I went to go visit him, at his shop. He goes, "Yeah, I bought this 3D printer." I was like, "So how much did you pay for it?" $180,000. $180,000 3D printer. I was like, "Okay." It's a resin printer. It has these cartridges that you put in, almost like an inkjet printer, but they're huge.
Right.
And he goes, I said, I said, so I saw the 3D printer in your video that you were using. How come you don't use it anymore? He goes, well, now it's a big paperweight. I was like, why? He goes, well, the board. He said the logic board on it uh, is blown. Because the printer basically has two boards.
Okay.
There's uh, there's like a main logic board, and
Mm-hmm.
then there's it's a PCM board, so there's like a power control module, and then there's the main board. The main board basically has all of the um, cable harnesses for the X and Y axis. So so like the arm
Hmm.
can go,
Yeah.
this way and that way, right? The print head and all this other stuff, and it has the print head. The power
Right.
control module basically controls the power coming into the printer, which is 115 volts, disperses it to 5 volts or 12 volts or whatever certain motors need to move everything around. And I said, well, you have the power control module. Did you ever think about getting a Raspberry Pi? And he goes, and he stopped for a minute. And he goes, Raspberry Pi. I was like, well, the Raspberry Pi is basically a an experimental computer. It's the smallest computer on the planet. It was
Hmm.
conceived, I believe, in the UK, and it's like $35 for one. And he goes, "You mean I could fix this thing for $35?" I said, "I don't know. Let's look at it." So we looked at it, and he was able to
Hmm.
get like a Raspberry Pi. Actually, he got something called Arduino. So Arduino
Yeah.
is it was the other side of the Raspberry Pi. Arduino is more programming, either servos or LEDs or things like that. And
Right.
Arduino does have its own PCM module embedded on the board. And I was like, you could take that control module out and just put in the Arduino. So he put the Arduino in. About 3 weeks after I went to go visit him, he gives me I get this I get this call, and he goes, George, he goes, he goes, the $180,000 paperweight is not a paperweight anymore. I'm using it. It actually works. He goes, and it works faster and better with the Arduino. Thank you so much. And I was like, oh yeah, that's cool, man. That's cool. That's cool. But I was like, $180,000 for a printer. That's nut. But I mean, its build volume is because he's
Well,
been
yeah,
able
it's got to
to.
be incredibly huge. And just at that.
Its build plate is like it's 40. Well, what I saw of the printer, it's a 30. It's 30 inches long
Okay.
by 18 or 20 inches, deep. Or yeah, was it, deep or whatever. But I mean, its height that it had was I think it was 10 inches. You could build up to 10 inches, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Okay.
So he actually made pieces. Um, he did a Star Trek phaser rifle, like from First Contact, and he
Uh
made all the pieces, and he 3D printed them. The 3D prints came out so nice that you didn't even have to do any sanding to them. They came out very smooth, no
huh.
layer
Hmm.
lines. It is a layered printer, but it each the bit the the extrusion head had it was resin with an extruder head. It wasn't,
Okay.
like
It
a
wasn't.
bath.
It wasn't an
It
FDM.
wasn't yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It was basically an F well no, it wasn't an FDM printer where it had fiber. It it had
Yeah.
a
It was resin, but it
it had a tube on each head, so each head had a tube
yeah. So
on
it
it, and it
fed.
would
It
go
sort of
from a
like
reservoir, and it
fed the
would pull from
resin
the
into
reservoir,
it.
right?
Yeah.
And it would go back, but it was really fast. And I was like, "So how fast is?" I said, "How fast is $180,000 get you?" And he goes, "Well," he said, "I printed up that phaser rifle in like 32 minutes," and I was like, "Wow," because usually FDM
Yeah.
printers take a few hours, maybe 8 hours. Well, it depends on what you're printing.
Well, here's the thing, because
Because there's
with
rafts, you have to do the
the
raft, you have to do support
well,
stuff like that. I don't know.
well, there's two different kinds. There's the FDM, which I just call the filament printer, which those are the ones that most of the time when anybody that that you'll see on YouTube or on TikTok or anything like that when they use 3D printers. That's 90% of the times what you'll see is they'll have a filament printer. I learned how to print on a filament printer. I personally don't really like using them. I've always caught hell in using them. I really don't like using them. I much prefer resin because resin works better for me. So the main difference, for me with resin versus filament, is with filament you'll see the layer lines, and so with anybody that you'll see a 3D printed part, and you'll see like little lines that if you look really close, and sometimes you'll see lines, and sometimes it'll be in like little cross patterns. Those are layer lines. That's how you can tell if it's printed on a filament printer. On a resin printer, you might see a layer line. Might, but that's a very slim might. Because with resin printers, they're designed to not have layer lines like that.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that I have are UV cured, ones that use UV cured resin. So the only one I have here is the bigger one that it feeds resin into it. It's a auto feeder. It goes by auto feed tube, in which it feeds the resin into it, so I don't have to monitor it like that.
Right.
I saw on some people where they would get a Raspberry Pi and they would actually program it to where it would actually operate the printer, tie it into their phone, and so then that way they could actually control the printer, have it stop, start, check the temperature, make sure that print's going great. Even has a camera. You could look through the camera to make sure that the print didn't fall off the build plate.
Right.
And
it didn't ab end or something like that.
right. And so those are the main differences. With both, you'll have to kind of, depending on what you print, depending on how much infill you have, if you want to have an infill, if you just want it just to show off, or you want to actually use it or something like that, then that's when how much of it you use, and then of course naturally with resin versus filament, the size matters on that, because with resin it is a lot more expensive. Because generally with resin, that's where you print, you make toys, you make speakers, computer parts, and with filament you make all those same things too, but with filament you also make stuff like tools. You can make car parts, you can make literally anything. So
the the things I've seen, because was it, my wife had told me, hey, I can get this deal on this resin printer. I said, well, it's not just the printer. You have a curing station, you have a washing station. She goes, well, what are those? I said, well, the curing state, after you take the print out, you need to cure it, and any uncured layer that came out of the actual printer, if you do not cure it with an ultraviolet light,
it's very toxic.
Or leave it out in the sun. You can leave it outside in the sun. it should cure it, but
Mm-hmm.
it may not get to all the areas that you want. So you have a curing station, which has a pedestal. The pedestal turns very slowly. The UV light is supposed to get to every
Yeah.
facet and every undercut of the model that you're going to do, or every piece you're going to do. And then after that's done, you have a washing station. Your washing station, you're washing it in, I believe it's alcohol. Is it isopropyl
Use
alcohol?
isopropyl alcohol. Its best one to use is 99%. That gives you the best clean. Also gives you, 90. I wouldn't even say 90 something percent of it. I would say most of the toxic materials are washed away of it.
Right.
So 99% is the best one. 91% is the second best. You really don't want to go anything lower than 70. But even 70 is really, really pushing it. So the main ones you really want to stay at is 99 or 91. But
Yeah,
mm,
I've seen the film prints. I've seen the resin prints. The resin prints, depending on I guess the resolution. There's 4K resolution.
mm-hmm.
There's 8K resolution.
Yeah,
But
4K, 4K, 6K, 7K, and 8K. That's
yeah, the
for what I
8K.
know right now.
Yeah, the those are I guess those are pixels per inch. No, not pixels per inch. It's is it ppm? I forget what it is.
Um,
It's
Basically,
dots, like dots per it. It's
it, it it's almost like a dots per inch, but it's almost
yeah,
like
okay.
a how thin your layer lines could be, how small your layer lines could be, because essentially the smaller your layer lines, the less that you can see.
Right.
So with resin, you can make it extremely small. So that's why they're so hard to see.
Extremely smooth. So the surface is
Mm-hmm.
like
Yep.
smoother. It's not as rough as an FDM printer,
Right.
where you have like layer lines. I mean, the
Because you could
the
definitely.
resin basically uses ultraviolet light to cure each layer
Right.
as it's pulling out of the bath. So the thing pulls out of the bath once, it cures a layer, pulls it out of the bath,
Yeah.
it cures a layer, but it's curing the layer underneath
Yeah. Because
because
see what it does is that the UV lights, when the build plate goes down, the UV lights, it only sets around whatever layer that it's on. So that when you put the printer down, it'll start out with your base layer. So however many pixels that it has on your slicing program that you use with your slicing program is, for anybody listening, slicing program is the program that's used to make a 3D object to send to a printer to be able to print. So when you set your slicing to be that small, and then when the plate goes down, the lights only because not all the lights show. It just only shows just the outlines of those lights, and then it goes from there. So when the print is done, because generally this is how the steps go. That when the print is done, good rule of thumb is always gonna wait a little bit to make sure it gets any excess resin that's there. Let it drip all the way off. You take the print off the build plate. You put it into your washing station. A washing station could be anything. It could just be a tub of isopropyl alcohol. Make sure you wash it out really, really good. And then you put it either into your curing station, or you can just set it out in the sun. You just want to make sure that if you set it out in the sun, that it gets, you know, all sides, top, bottom, and
mm,
all around the sides. You just want to make sure that it gets all that, and then once it cures in the sun or in your curing station, then it's safe to touch. You can paint it from there, but
Yeah, the
after that, it's safe to touch. But until then, keep gloves on.
yeah the thing, the thing that most modelers want is basically just to, I guess, print up a part or print up an actual model and
Hmm.
then just paint the model and then you have it.
Yeah,
What I like to do is I like to do the next step because for me, it's not um, a 3D printer is a good, fast thing for prototyping.
hmm,
Like if
yeah,
like if I was going to do say like the model of the Icarus from Planet of the Apes, right, the spaceship that like that Charlton Heston was in. If I was going to do that model and I was going to do it all myself, I could do it one of two ways. I could sculpt it out of clay and I can
hmm,
make a mold on it and then I can, sand it, or I could design it in a 3D, printing program,
hmm,
3D print the model, but then I'd also have to make sure that when the model's out of the 3D printer, I would smooth it over and then make a mold on that and actually make a mold so I could make, you know,
yeah, yeah,
multiple copies, and that smoothness of the mold would translate to the resin that I'm using. I'm using a different type of resin. I'm not using a 3D print resin. I would be using it's a two-part epoxy resin
yeah.
that I would use.
Um,
There's a company here in Pennsylvania called Smooth On that I use. So they make like, I mean, oh my God, this company makes everything. They make foams, they make resins, they make clear resin for doing clear
mhm.
parts. They, have that. So that's what I would use for model. Most of the models that you've seen at model shows are made out of resin, and it's basically just a two-part mold that's put together.
Yeah,
It has a pour point. You pour in your resin.
and
You
you
let
let
it
it.
cure.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, yeah. I've
and
seen those. Yeah,
yeah.
and I would
So,
say yeah, and the main thing is that I always wonder is that the time that it takes to cure for um, doing that versus how it is for 3D print. Because I know with 3D printing, depending on the resin that you use, whether it's a clear to all the way down to a black,
right.
each color it has different times. So using, let's say, a black resin, the print that you would use, it would take, say, 30 minutes. I'm just going to say 30 minutes.
Okay.
Whereas using, say, a clear one, because, it doesn't need that much curing time with the light, you could do the same print in, say, 10 minutes.
Okay. The
So
the
that
well the
also kind of takes into account of that. So I'd always wonder that doing um, resin molds like that with the color of the resin, or is it the color of the resin? Does that have any kind of effect on it?
no well there's something called color fast resin that Smooth On
Mm-hmm.
makes. It's a clear, it's a somewhat clear two-part resin that is pigmentable, so you can put a pigment in it. The
Okay.
pigment is opaque, which means it's not going to be translucent. They do make that type of resin. I have that type of resin. I have clear resin. I can tint it blue or I can tint it red for anything that I'm making. Like if I'm making, which I have to make you. I have molds for the dilithium crystals, which I have to make some dilithium crystals. So it's basically clear resin
Mm-hmm.
with a couple drops of red, a couple drops of amber, or like a couple drops of yellow mixed, and then it basically has that type of pinkish, uh,
that kind of
but like
that
translucent.
translucent pinkish kind of glow to it, or
Right,
like almost that pinkish hue to it. Yeah.
color to it.
Yeah.
Right, right. Um, that's basically how they did like the dilithium crystals in the original Star Trek. That's what they did. They used epoxy, basically, like epoxy resin. Um,
Yeah. Okay.
that though, but Smooth On has something called Color Fast. So so Color Fast is it's a pigmentable resin. If you do red, it's red all the way through, right? It
Okay.
translates through the resin, and like if you're gonna make so say something like this. So this would be a button in Star Trek, the you know, and this piece, this button is resin all the way through. I don't know if you can see that.
Okay.
All
Yeah.
right, so
Yeah.
that's red all the way through. That's color fast resin.
Okay.
Um, but I could pigment it green. It could be a green button. It could be a blue button. But it's an opaque, which means that light cannot be transmitted through it. Okay, it's a solid color. Um, the cure time on that is, I think, like 5 minutes.
Okay.
Because it actually has an exothermic reaction, so it gets very, very hot inside the mold.
Mm-hmm.
Anywhere from 300 to 500 degrees. I've used there's something called Onyx Fast. So Onyx Fast, it's black resin. Okay, so say like if I wanted to do like the dragon, glass from Game of Thrones, and I wanted to make those, I could make those. I just have to actually sculpt out the mold or 3D print the master. So basically, what you would have is you would have something called you would have a master mold. Your master mold would be the thing that you casted. Okay, so
Right.
you would have a blank. It's called it's basically called a blank. So you would make a mold of it. You would separate the two pieces of the mold. You take the blank out. You put the two pieces back together. It's hollow. You pour in your onyx. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, depending on if you're gonna sell this to somebody, you don't want to have air bubbles. That is
That is a no-no.
that is a no. No, yeah, no air bubbles.
No air bubbles.
I've seen castings of model kits with air bubbles in them. I'm like going, why didn't somebody just research it and take their time to do it? Because once you open up that box, like I try to open up the box at the show, like if I'm at a show,
Right.
and these models are not cheap. These resin models, they're in the $800 to $1,000 range, okay, for a model, and you have to put
Mm-hmm.
it together. I'm looking
Yeah.
at the pieces, and I'm like, there's bubbles in these pieces. There's like, the guy goes, well, you just fill them in. I was like, no. I said, I'm not paying $850 for this
What?
sculpt. I said, I'm sure the sculpt is nice. I said, but I said
I
this.
paid 800.
I said
Yeah.
this is garbage. I'm not going to pay 850. I put it in the box.
Yeah. I'm
Done.
not paying eight
No,
hundred
I'm
dollars
done.
for something
I'm
that.
not doing that.
No. Like ow. I'm not even gonna
Y-
try to even try to find a way to justify it. That's just no.
Yeah, I mean, like they'll show the model how it looks all built and painted. I was
They
like,
look the best.
that's really nice on the
Yeah.
thing. I was like, but what did you have to do to get it to this point?
Yeah, they show the
Some
best
model,
version of
like
it.
some model companies or some, studios, they call themselves studios. They have the thing and and they go, well, this is how it is. I said, okay. So how, I was like, well,
Mm-hmm.
I get this from my caster. It's always that thing where the guy goes, I always get it from my casting guy. I was like, well, your casting guy doesn't know how to cast resin. He should learn how to cast resin.
You say your casting
and
guy
we
sucks.
Well, I have a I have a friend who I taught how to mold stuff, and he did it the right way. He does it the right way. He actually has I have a vacuum pot, so I have a vacuum pot to take bubbles out of out of the mold rubber,
Okay.
so that the molds are pristine and clean. And then he has something called a pressure pot. So at
Okay.
60 psi, it will compress the air bubbles inside the resin and make them so small you can't even see them, but they will be, they will actually pop all those bubbles inside the resin. So there are
Okay.
no bubbles in the resin at all. Either on the surface or into the inner mix of the resin, those bubbles come to the surface and they pop and they're gone. And the pressure at
Mm.
60 psi for 24 hours cures the resin solid, and it's
Okay.
beautiful. Like you take
Yeah.
it out and the parts are nice. The parts are nice, no bubbles, no nothing. So that's basically how you have to do it. But I've seen these companies, these like these fly by night guys. Oh, I'm going to make a killing at the show, this weekend. I'm selling this one for $80. I'm selling this one for
Mm.
$100. This is 300. That's $500. $500. I want the thing,
I want it
to be
perfect.
able to be hollow, number one, no bubbles, number two.
Right? Yeah.
Um,
I mean, that's just
and
natural.
but I've seen uneven like castings where like like where you like the so for instance the example was the drop ship from the Sulaco, the Cheyenne drop ship. They had a model, real
Hmm.
big model of it. It wasn't studio scale because the studio scale one's like 6 foot long,
Okay.
but it was about I'm gonna say it was a good 24 inches long.
Okay.
The kit was being sold for $1,500. And I was like, okay, I can see 24 inches long, $1,500. You could buy the APC, the Aliens APC, which fits into that model, and like the ramp goes up. And I said, beautiful. That's great. That's great. Looking at the parts, I'm looking at the parts. I'm like, this part is uneven. Like, it wasn't that it was warped. It was that when they did the casting of the part, some of the resin didn't flow right. It
Okay.
didn't cure right. So
It
some
just
of it
kind of.
was very thin and some of it was very thick. It wasn't an even, you know,
It wasn't that even solid. Solid.
right. So it didn't. And, I said to
Surface.
the guy, I said, yeah, I said, did you use this? And he goes, no. Did you use this? No. I was like, but and then
Hmm.
I was like I mean I didn't want to get into it with him at the table because I know he wants to make a profit, but
But if you're
I
selling.
just said to the guy once, I said to the guy, I said to the guy because the other guy was looking at me. There was another guy there and he was inspecting it and he was going over it with like a loop, and he's looking at all the pieces and
Yeah.
he's like on I'm not going to pay $1,500 for this thing. He said it looked really cool, but I'm not going to do that. And I was like, yeah, I said, good choice. And then we
Hmm.
started talking, after, we got from this guy's table. I said, everything is uneven. I said, I don't think he put any, thought into this
Yeah.
as to how he wanted, to do this. I was like, I would have to spend another $400 to get the pieces up to par. I'd have to actually laminate pieces of
Hmm.
fiberglass on the inside to get it to that point, and then put body filler on it and keep filling
Yeah.
it and building up with body filler to get it to that point.
And
And
it's
he
like
was
you
like,
no, you shouldn't have to. You shouldn't have to go through all that
you
because
shouldn't have to do that. Yeah,
no, because yeah,
like each piece should have been inspected before you put it in the box.
right.
um
Yeah. I mean,
there
if you're going to do the resin molding like that, then and you're planning on selling, if you're planning on selling it, especially for that price,
yeah,
somebody says don't just say don't just think and expect that. Oh well, that's just how it is. No,
Yeah.
no.
But yeah, the thing is that but people don't know any better, and it's funny because, I'm dangerous now at these shows because I know what it takes to mold stuff. I know what it takes, and I
Yeah,
know. I mean, I
you
know
know
the
how much effort.
expense. I know what the expense
Yeah,
is.
you know how much effort it would take and how much it would cost.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it, it's nice to have that knowledge, but for me, it's all about I can build something. I mean, I can make anything I want. I can build anything I want. If I set my mind to it, I can build anything I want. The 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 thing with 3D printing is 3D printing makes it faster for me. Would make it
Mm-hmm.
faster for me.
Yeah.
Like if I had an FDM printer, I was working on because I was I was looking at pictures of a Chesley Bonestell, and I don't know if you know him. He was an artist in the night, I think in the 50s and 60s. He did a lot of space, like a lot of man in space. Before we went to the moon, he did a lot of concept art,
Okay.
and he made this um, there. th- There's a picture of this Mars glider, this Mars spaceship, this glider that you know he has. It's on the surface of Mars. There's like a little lunar rover or whatever with astronauts and all this other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But that concept art was used in the movie Conquest of Space. If you've ever seen that, Conquest of Space, it was like a glider that glides into the atmosphere of Mars, and
Okay.
then it has a little escape ship that kind of opens up off the wings, and then that's what they used to get off the surface of Mars with. But that was the concept. It was like like a flying wing, and I was
Okay. All right.
so I built the flying wing with the body, but I didn't have the nose cone. And I was like, man, if I had a damn 3D printer, if I knew somebody with a 3D printer, they could print me up a nose cone. I could just put the stupid thing on, and
Yeah, call it a day.
yeah, and I would be done with it. And I'm not done with it yet. The thing is downstairs. It has a 48-inch wingspan. It looks like the future. It looks like the future. There was a Future magazine article, with like, the oxygen or the fuel tanks on it with the wings and everything. And I was like, I have it all done except for the damn nose cone. I can't get the nose cone done. And I'm like, so the only other thing I can do is get clay and set up clay and carve it out of clay, and then
Right.
hopefully
Trying
make a
to
mold on it, and so
yeah, trying to work with the clay like that. Yeah.
yeah, that's basically how I do all of my things now. It's just clay, like do it the old fashioned way. So now I'm up to the challenge where people have asked me, because I've been doing this sculpt of it's a movie called The Angry Red Planet,
Okay.
and it's in on the in the movie, uh these group of explorers go to Mars, and Mars has palm trees. I just want to I just want you to know that they it has palm trees. It has like different trees and stuff like that. Anyway, they have this monster called the rat bat spider, and I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's a hokey
I'm not seeing it.
1950s movie. What?
I have not seen that, but
Have you not seen it? Oh, you have to watch
I
it.
think
You've
this is
led a
something I
sheltered
may need
life
to
if you
see.
haven't watched it. There's this monster called the rat bat spider, and it looks like a rat. It's got bat wings with
With
the six
spider legs.
legs and
Yeah.
spider legs and
I'm
all this other
picturing a
stuff.
rat bat spider. That's exactly what
Okay.
I'm. That's exactly what it looks like to me.
Uh, Lunar Models did a model of it a while back in the 90s. I think, yeah, like the 80s or 90s. And I never got the model kit. I always wanted to get the model kit, and they said, "Oh, you should get the model kit, papa." And it was always a favorite of mine. I said, "You know what? I'm gonna sculpt it." I started sculpting it. So I sculpted the whole thing.
Okay.
I haven't casted it yet. I only casted the head. I'm trying to do certain things with the head, but I use the Onyx Fast because the eyes of oh sorry the the eyes of the monster are black with like with white pupils, and
Okay.
they've shot it that way because they use this cinemagic technique where Mars is supposed to be red, so they put a red hue over everything, and the monster looks like it's kind of red, but it's really done in black and white. It was done in black and white, and then they just washed the film with this red,
Kind of tint.
I guess,
Kind
yeah,
of
tint
red tint, like
for all,
everywhere.
for all the scenes that were on the planet or on the surface of Mars. It kind of holds up today. It's okay, but I mean, you have to watch it. I mean, it's not as bad as Birdemic, but
Oh man.
I did get to watch Birdemic, so I just want you to
Oh
know that.
man.
I went I said, here's 96 minutes of my life I'm never going to get back, and I didn't. But I watched it. So
And that's my only
um,
concern. That it's going to be that time. I'm never going to get back.
I will not
But
subject
for
you to
some
that.
reason,
I'm sure Thomas is going to do
so
that.
for some reason, I know that I'm going to end up watching it. I know I am because Thomas is he's wanting to watch this. So we're probably going to all end up having to end up watching it. But even then, I looked at the birds on that, and
The birds are
that
not.
that
They're not.
I
I mean, like,
clearly see that somebody that they did not use Maya or 3ds Max. I can tell you that right now. Oh man.
my wife was looking at it and she goes, what are you watching? I said, I'm watching this movie called Birdemic that Thomas wanted everybody to watch, and he wanted to do the plot. He wanted to do the plot holes. And she goes, this thing is horrible. Like, why are you watching this? I'm like,
I
it's
don't
so
know.
bad, it's good. I mean, the acting is just
It's
it's
just
just a couple people just going, uh, 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 like like there's no feeling. Everybody looks like everybody.
it's just because they don't know what to feel because there's nothing there. 'Cause it's just
There's there's like nothing there.
because
It's
you have to pretend there's a lot of birds here. Ah.
it well it was just that eagles were attacking. That's what it was. It was just eagles. So I guess they could only get the eagle graphic to go so far.
I suppose so.
And they're,
I suppose eagle is the only bird model that they had, and I guess that's the only one they could work with. I
I mean, like when Alfred Hitchcock did the birds, I mean, at least they had,
Birds,
different birds.
right?
Yeah.
But that's the only thing I could think of is that they only had an eagle model, and
And it,
that was
it,
it. Or either they had different models, but the eagle model was the only one that was rigged and ready to go.
it kind, it kind of reminded me of like I mean, like a bad South Park episode. And I think they were using animated birds from South Park. I think that's what it was. That's what it
Oh,
looked like. But it was
oh
truly
man.
abysmal. So very sorry about that. I'm very sorry. I'm talking about resin. I'm talking about movies on a computer show. I'm very sorry about that. So I must apologize to our audience,
I must apologize as well because I'm
or lack thereof,
going
whatever.
right down that rabbit hole with you. Oh,
Birdemic. Yeah. Thank you very much, Thomas, for putting that into my head and letting me watch that thing. And the soundtrack is just it's
uh,
not going to be on any top
it's not.
100, top 1 million, top 50 million charts. It's not going to
It's
be
not going to be
anywhere
on top of
near.
anything on anywhere on anything.
Well, let's just say I'm not going to be playing it in the car, on the way to work. It is a heavy metal type.
Um, yeah. So yeah, we're totally off the path on a computer show. So it is what it is. So for everybody, this is the help desk, where we are talking everything but computers, and it is what it is.
Yeah, we got 3D
So
printing and
we got the 3D printer into this show. So yeah.
leave it to me to do that. So
So yeah. So anyone, you can email us at gcprhelpdesk@gmail.com if you have any questions or have any topics that you want us just to talk about that has been going on in the news. Other than CrowdStrike, again, that's gcprhelpdesk@gmail.com. And I'm working on being able to take calls on the air. I believe I found that because I found an app that's supposed to let take calls through the air. So gonna test that out as well. Hopefully we'll be
nice,
taking calls next week.
nice.
So, again, one last time, gcprhelpdesk@gmail.com.
Let's see if we have anybody in the chat here. Trying to get over to YouTube.
And so I found this article on PC Mag that was talking about Governor Newsom on a deep fake from Vice President Harris. In which it was a political ad. It was a parody political ad that used Vice President Harris's used her voice and basically said something to the effect of something about the deep state and she don't need to know how to do something if you're an agent of deep state or some kind of mess. I totally forgot because I just deleted it out of my mind because it was it was ridiculous.
Is this the Elon Musk?
It's the Elon Musk
thing,
one. Yeah. And I was like, oh my god, really, this is what we're doing. This is what we're doing. And it goes all the way back to our first show. We were talking about AI deep fakes and something like this could happen.
Yep.
So, and what made it even worse is that they used whoever put it together used actual clips of stuff that she did say, mixed it in with the voice clip, and had the voice clip programmed with what they wanted her to say. And if you listen to on first listen to it and and just listen to the natural flow of it, and even like certain inflection of words, it actually seemed that it did come from her.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking to myself, I said, yeah, somebody put some money into this because it didn't sound like any kind of robotic type of this AI said the voice sort of similar to the way Kamala Harris would say it, but
right.
Not quite. But no, it was. It took into account of inflections, commas, different punctuation, context. So,
right.
Yeah, it was. It was very intricate.
So Elon spent some money. So
Elon spent some money. Yeah,
because he knows that if Trump becomes president, that he'll make more money, and he
Absolutely.
needs to make more money,
Yeah,
except
because I
for his
mean,
trans, except for his transgendered children. But
oh, of course, because I mean, he's losing money on Twitter, so
yeah,
he's got to make his money back.
that yeah, yeah, that's true. He has to make his money back.
And so, yeah, that's what that's
I don't know. I mean, I don't understand a guy, who makes all that money and
and just wants
has
to
all.
just
I mean,
talk smack online, and that
yeah.
I mean, let's just be honest. He spent $44 billion just so he could be a troll on unchecked.
A high tech troll at that. But I mean, he
Yeah,
there were reports that he was violating his own mission statements or his own community standards, I should say, on on Twitter or on X, you know,
yeah.
by actually posting that on his
By
platform
by posting
that
that,
he
yeah,
owns.
he violated that, and then here it is. He
Wow.
said, here I've got the article. It says after sharing an AI-generated video of presidential candidate Kamala Harris, Tesla CEO Elon Musk is defending his actions, arguing it's fair game to parody a U.S. politician, and parody in quotes. So
Okay.
yeah, it's
So
cool. It's cool when he does it, but it's a problem
yeah,
when anybody else does it.
yeah. If we did it,
If we did it, then oh,
we
listen,
get swatted. There'd be helicopters
right?
flying around the house. We'd have a SWAT team.
And I mean, you
Giving us a cavity search. In our rooms.
right,
Yeah,
exactly,
but
and
if he does it, it's okay.
if he does it, it's fine. It's just a joke.
It's just
It's just a joke, guys. Lighten up. It's just a joke. But if we do it, then all of a sudden, our phone's getting tapped. We're being followed around. We're being, put bags over our heads and taken to places that, you know, there's no sun, there's no doors, there's nothing. you know.
kind of like being inside of a Tesla. Oh, I'm sorry.
That.
It's just a parody.
It's just a
It's
joke,
a jo-
Elon. Lighten up,
it's,
man. It's just a
it's a
joke,
joke.
Elon.
I don't think he has to lighten up anymore. His skin is so white. I mean, wow. Anyway, so uh,
Oh,
as
yeah.
Jeff, as Jeff says, he's like, he said, if I was any whiter, I'd be, damn near translucent. So yeah, yeah, I know that. Yeah, that's what he said.
I mean, it's not wrong. He's not wrong. He's not wrong. Yeah.
When he gets mad, he turns red, so he actually has some color. That's he has like some color. So it's better just like piss him off every so often, so he gets a little bit of color. That's all.
So make sure you have some blood flowing in you, man.
He got a little bit of blood. Yeah, so
But
hopefully this week we're gonna upgrade Jeff's computer,
oh,
his
that's great.
Mac.
That's great. Yeah, because I mean,
He got
he
he got the
definitely
RAM
needs
he
it.
got the RAM yesterday. Hopefully he's gonna get
Okay, that's good.
the operating system today. We got a operating
Mm.
system. It's a six operating systems on one USB stick. We we
Okay.
we tried to find a seller who was in the United States, so we actually found a seller who was in the United States that we can get the USB stick from because everything else was China. I mean, I would assume it was China. I couldn't read the Chinese writing, on the seller's, you know, on his page from Amazon. But anyway, we got that. So, hopefully we'll get that all up and running. And because I was asking him,
Okay,
I said, well,
that's
wait a
good.
minute, you can't take calls uh, through Streamlab, and he goes no, and I said okay, because he can only use he can only use the web version. He can't use the desktop version because His operating system,
Yeah, it
his
doesn't.
operating system is High Sierra on his iMac,
Right. 'Cause it doesn't
and
allow
he
the
needs to get
app.
to Catalina.
Yeah.
So I found out that the Catalina up the Catalina update, or sorry, the upgrade. There's upgrade and update. So if you update something on a Mac, you you would get kind of like a Windows update, like a software update. An upgrade would be you
Hmm.
go to the next step. So he basically has to blow out that operating system, put a brand new operating system in, and put everything back. So I have to bring like an external drive with me, and grab everything off of there, that he wants, all of his files and stuff.
Right.
Get rid of that operating system, put the other one on, put everything back, and then he should be okay. But I think when he bought that iMac, I think it was during the pandemic. It might have been before the
Okay.
pandemic. No, it was during the pandemic. We bought it. We were doing the show, and
Just during then, I mean, he
um,
should be able to install it onto his system.
yeah, it came with 8 gigs of RAM.
Okay.
That computer can be expanded up to 64 gigs of RAM. So I think he got 32 gigs, which was
Okay.
in the 35, 20, no, it was 20, $27 or $30 for 32 gigs of RAM.
Okay.
So I have to do that. I have to put the RAM in, put in, the updated operating system, because I know he has an iMac. He has the MacBook, the laptop. We had gotten that, one, like from back market as well. And that one needs to be upgraded because I think that one actually has High Sierra on that as well. Once you
Okay.
upgrade the operating system, a lot of the bells and whistles that you would use for the Mac start working again. And I said to him, "You have Bluetooth on the on the Mac. Why can't you hook your phone up to the Bluetooth and then take calls through the Mac through your phone?" And he said, "Well, it sees the keyboard, but it doesn't see the phone." And I was like, "That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't see the phone. Like,
Like I
the
could.
finder, like the finder should use the
Yeah.
Bluetooth settings to find the phone." I said,
Yeah.
"Are you sure that the Bluetooth is working on the phone?" He goes, "Yeah, Bluetooth's working on the phone." I was like, "So," and then I read where the High Sierra only has a certain functionality to see a certain Bluetooth band. The Catalina would
Okay.
expand the Bluetooth, even more, and would probably see the phone. I
Okay.
said, "Oh, that's why we have to go to Catalina." So we have to
Okay.
upgrade the operating system for the functionality for Bluetooth. Hopefully, if that works, he can get the desktop version for Streamlabs, and then start doing all the stuff that he wants to do. You know,
Yeah.
um, how it is now when he does his show is he uses the web version, and the web version only gives you partial functionality, but does not give you the ability to go to all the places that he wants to go. You know,
Right.
he goes to Twitch. I think he goes to Twitch. He goes
Twitch, Facebook, and
LinkedIn. I think he goes to LinkedIn.
okay.
Yeah, he goes to LinkedIn. He goes to Twitch. He goes to Facebook. He goes to YouTube. When we're not in, like when the Kennedy Effect is not in Facebook jail, and then but he wants to go to Twitter. He wants to go to all these other places, and he just can't do that.
Yeah.
The web version just won't allow you to do that.
Now the Twitter, there, a new alert popped up with Twitter, and I think now we have to get a premium version, I think, of Twitter in order for us to stream onto Twitter now.
A premium version, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
So
I think we can
I don't know
tell
about
Elon where he should go to go get that
that.
premium account, but
First I said upgrade to premium.
Upgrade to premium.
Or I could not do that.
I cannot do that. Maybe just boycott your platform.
Basically, yeah, I could say. Or you have to upgrade to premium in order to stream here. I could. Or I'm just spitballing here. I'm not going to do that. And just go somewhere else.
Flag on the play. So
Exactly.
I have to talk to T Nathan about that. We'll get that premium account for free.
And so yeah, it's
Get some dirt on Elon.
get some dirt on him. Yeah, get
You
some
know.
dirt on him, and then, and then that way, yeah.
Oh, that premium account that we have. It's going to be free for life. Okay.
So we got
Thank you.
Premium accounts are free for everybody for life. So I'm not taking any chances.
Premium verified account. It's going to be a verified account. So. Oh, God.
And oh yeah, like I said, the very first episode, man. AI is scary.
It is scary.
So anybody watching? AI is scary. AI is scary. You can see that right now because Vice President Harris has a video of her essentially saying that she is not qualified, which she is overqualified, adequately qualified, overly qualified, directly
To
qualified.
take on Orange Hitler?
Yeah. Like she is absolutely qualified to make decisions on everything that has to do with this country. She is absolutely qualified to do so.
She is the vice president. The vice president of the United States of America? The vice
She
president?
is already vice president, so I mean, she kind of has a good grasp on how to do this whole thing already. You know. Just saying. You
Former
know,
prosecutor. I mean, come on.
But that's for another show at another GCR show at another GCPR time.
Yes. Probably coming up at 8.
Coming up at 8, yes. We up at 8 o'clock. We have got the Kennedy Effect with Jeff Kennedy and Techno George. He's pulling double duty today with co-hosting with Jeff Kennedy on the Kennedy Effect. So everybody stay tuned for the Kennedy Effect and you'll learn something. You will learn something on the GCPR network. And after Jeff, we got Conversations with T. Nathan. You will definitely learn something.
T. Nathan got the hookup. He's got the hookup. Got to tell him.
He's got the hookup on everything.
Got the hookup. He got the hookup on. I mean, he's got the hookup. He's got the hookup on there. Yeah, got the hookup on everything else.
I don't know how he does it. Same as with Thomas. He got the hookup on there. I don't know how they do it.
That man is Thanos. He can go back in time now. He can do that
everything.
clicking.
I don't know
do
how
that
he does
snap
it.
of the finger.
Just don't know how he does it, but all he does is just picks up his phone and then it happens. I don't know how he does it. It's the wildest thing I've ever seen. It's crazy.
The guy is amazing. He only sleeps like 4 hours a day, and he's he's an activist. He's
everywhere.
He's on everywhere. I was talking to him last night, and all of a sudden he goes, "I'm sorry, I have to cut this short, George, but there's a revolution in Kenya," and I'm like, "Is he gonna wait? Is he gonna fly to Kenya?"
Hold up, you
No,
going
no,
to
I don't
Kenya?
think he was gonna fly to Kenya. I think he had, I mean, he had friends in Kenya, and I was like, okay, all right. He goes, yeah, I gotta go. Bye, boom, done. He's all over the place.
Yeah, so
If there's a
stick
hot
around.
spot in the country, he's gonna find
Said
it, and
if there's a hot spot, yeah,
he's there, he's on it.
he's there.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So you'll learn something
So,
with Teen Nathan. So,
I mean, yeah, I do. I learned something, like what you and Thomas when you're talking about championship wrestling. I'm like, I never heard of this guy before. I never heard. I mean, I stopped watching wrestling like when WWOR in New York started doing, like stopped doing, the matches. The last person I remember was the Iron Sheik. That was it. And that, and I stopped, I didn't get to WWE. I never got to, all the wrestling. And it was just,
uh,
yeah,
so,
the guy who used to do that stuff on WWOR, his name was Mario. I can't think of his last name. His first name was Mario, but he used to produce all those matches. And I
mhm.
met him in Parsippany when I lived in Parsippany. He lived in Denville, and his brothers and all this other stuff. The whole family were involved in the championship wrestling thing, but they used to produce all the WWR. And I was like going, like, I know this because I used to watch this horror movie. It was like a well, it's called Fright Night, and it was basically like the host would,
Yeah, I remember Fright Night.
come out and,
Yeah,
present the movie from a coffin or from a dark place and be dressed like Dracula and present the movie.
hmm,
Well, in the TV guide, it was always time approximate after wrestling, and wrestling would always go
it would always go over.
20 minutes over the time of the movie, and then you never got to see the beginning of the movie. I always hated wrestling for that. That was a lot. And I told that to Mario, and he goes, I'm so sorry about that, George. I was like, I always wanted to watch my favorite movie, and at 20 minutes, I never saw the beginning of so I had to go back and I had to rewatch all these movies when I got older, like all these old movies. And I was like, and it was on WWOR. But then when Mario was there at the shop, like where he, like where he produced all, the videos, I actually got to meet some of the wrestlers. I got to meet George the Animal Steel, the guy with the green tongue. Remember
Yeah,
he used to
yeah.
go with the green tongue. I got to meet him. He was really intelligent. I think he had like a degree. I think
Oh
he
yeah,
had like a college yeah, he had a college
yeah.
degree and stuff.
A lot of them
I
are
met
very intelligent. Yeah.
I met Iron Sheik. He was like 7'2". At the time I was 6'6". I'm 6'4" now. I kind of shrunk in my old age. But he was like 7'2". Guy was massive. I met Andre the, I met
Andre the
Andre the
Giant.
Giant.
Yeah.
Yeah, Andre the Giant. I met who was the other guy? I think I met Ric Flair. Was it Rick? Who did the figure four leg lock? Was that Ric Flair?
Yeah. That was Ric Flair. Yeah.
That was Ric Flair. Figure four leg lock. Yeah, I remember that. The Samoan brothers.
We had a little bit of everybody, man.
And they met a little bit of everybody, but I mean, they used to come to the shop to see Mario, and I was like, and he used to introduce me because I would do all of his computer stuff for him, and he'd go, "Oh yeah, this is this guy." I was like, "You're Ric Flair." He go, hey, man, how you doing? Okay, like it was great. It was great to like all. I'm like going. And I'm meeting all these guys who used to wrestle, and the wrestling would always go, and I always tell them the story, and they would always apologize to me. It was hilarious. I'm so sorry that I was like going, yeah, but the match went over and this and that and um
I was like,
it was
I'm sorry,
who was the other guy? Oh, it was a tag team. Um it was the Samoan brothers and Rick. It was Ric Flair and somebody else, but they kind of did a turn like they turned the tables on their own guy. They went with the Samoan brothers. I forget what it was. It was some match I remember, and this was the match that went over. It actually preempted the movie that week,
man.
and I was really pissed. But it was a really cool match. But the guy kind of turned he's kind of like a turncoat. He was it was supposed to be the tag team, the two guys on either team, and then he was working. I guess the scenario was he was working with the other team, so there were three guys against one, and it was this whole big, and they tried to create this whole big, thing about it, and yeah. And I was like, son of a, you took took the whole, and it said Friday night is preempted because of Russ. I was like, yeah. But I finally got, like apologies from all of the,
Bro, you
guys
got apologies
who
from
were
everybody.
wrestling. I'm so sorry. I was like, dude, you used to preempt all. He was like,
You
cut
made me
off
so
20
mad at
minutes.
you.
20 off 30, like cut off 20 minutes, cut off 5 minutes, cut off 30 minutes of my movie. Thanks.
Oh, you see, that is where that's where having YouTube would have been handy, or having or having Netflix would have been handy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that way you can just get on your handy dandy computer or your handy dandy phone and just say, all right, let me start this mofo from the beginning. Now I can see what I missed.
Yeah, the best one was like we used to go to church every Saturday. Well, my father was a stickler for that. You have to go to church. You have to go to church. And church would always end at 8 o'clock. Well, 7:30, the mass was over. I'm like, come on, let's go. I want to get home and watch Creature Feature, because Creature Feature was on, 8 o'clock, Channel 5, every Saturday night in the Eastern Standard Time Zone. I'm like, come on, I gotta go. And my father's there, and the head, and the priest who just gave the sermons, like going, why do you want to get home so quickly? I said, I want to watch my, I want to watch my, I want to watch my movie. He goes, what's the name of the movie tonight, George? Curse of the Demon. and the priest is like, you're going to Catholic school. The Curse of the Demon. We have to have a talk, George. We have to. It's always like we have to have a talk. I'm like, but it's a cool movie.
I was like, it would have been hilarious if he looked back and he said, "Oh, that's a good movie. I've seen it before."
Apparently, they didn't even watch any, type of.
I guess they didn't like horror movies.
They didn't like horror movies. No.
Nobody's perfect.
My father was mortified, looking at me like, my son just said "Curse of the Demon." Yeah.
He's like, "Curse of the Demons."
Was it
in church? To a priest.
To a priest, yeah.
That is exactly. That's all you can do is just.
That's exactly what my father did. He went.
That's all you can do.
Well, with that, we end another show. I'm very sorry that we talked about.
So we are
Oh,
coming
let's see.
to
We talked about championship wrestling. We talked about Birdemic.
so we're coming close to the end of the show. We talked a little bit about
you know,
Birdemic.
about
Talked
everything.
about wrestling. Talked about CrowdStrike. Talked about Elon
Bird
Musk.
strike.
Talked a little bit more about AI and deepfakes. Even delved a little bit into the political realm,
Yeah.
and went a little bit everywhere with this. And so yeah, it was an all right show. I liked it. I put my stamp of approval on this show. This show was a good one. I liked it.
Thank you. Very sorry
And
about
there's
that.
the show wouldn't be this show without you, George. This show would not be this show without you. I mean,
And I will be fired tomorrow. I'll be replaced next week by by AI George. Hello, I am AI George. I think we should do an AI show. That would be that'd be really
that,
cool. Do an AI show
you
where we
know
actually
what?
keep on topic. That would be, where I
Yeah,
can actually like
yeah,
where
we
my
could.
mind is
Yeah,
not going all over the place. That'd be pretty
yeah.
cool.
So we just have to do a recording of our voices and then type out a script and then just let it fly. Let ChatGPT do its thing, and all we have to do is just make a
Yeah.
video and then just hit play.
Yep.
And then just go about the rest of our days. Don't have to do anything. AI me got it.
We
But
could
then
review
again, hey,
Birdemic and then play Birdemic.
Yep.
With
Okay.
with our AI avatars. There you go.
Yeah, and that would be the. Actually, I probably need to start thinking of looking at doing that because having an AI version of me that'd help out a lot. Just having an AI version of me. Oh, and on
Okay.
that, I think
On that note,
I think I'm going to call it on that one. So again, everybody stay tuned because we have got the Kennedy effect coming up next with Jeff Kennedy and Techno George over here co-hosting, pulling a double duty today. And after that, we have got conversations with T. Nathan after
and,
Kennedy effect. And so stay tuned for that, all on GCPR. And on that one, I will say to everyone, take care, have a great night. George, what do you have to say to the people?
good night. Don't watch Birdemic, but if you do, drink a lot. My advice to you is to start drinking heavily. No. So, good night. Take care. God bless. And